My name is Randy Howell, and you're listening to the Faith and Fishing Podcast.
Welcome to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm Cam.
And I'm Robert. In every episode, we're bringing you faith stories and fishing memories from some amazing members of the fishing community.
So join us as we shed a positive light on all things faith and fishing. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Faith and Fishing Podcast. I'm Cam.
Hey, and I'm Robert.
Yeah, man, and we've got a really awesome episode this week. Excited about it. But before we jump into it, just a little bit of housekeeping. I always like to let y'all know when we hit a milestone with listens. And first off, let me say thank you to all of you who are listening. I don't say it often enough. I usually say it whenever we hit a milestone or something like that. I need to say it more often. But thank y'all for listening. Whether this is the first time you're listening to the show or whether you've heard every episode, it means the world to me that you're listening. And Robert, thank you for everything you've brought. So we are currently sitting at 5,999 listens. So by the time we end this show, we may have hit 6,000 total plays. So y'all know that whenever we hit a milestone like that, we try to do some sort of giveaway. So we are going to be giving away a Faith and Fishing hoodie. So keep an eye on social media to see that giveaway. But yeah, Robert, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. It's the middle of a new week, and temperatures went down in North Carolina this week, so that's been a little challenging, but it's feels good. It finally feels like football season, so I'm good to go. What about yourself? How are you doing?
I hear you, man. I'm doing well. Also, starting to get somewhat acclimated in the new job. So that's fun. But yeah, man. And speaking of how we're doing, I got an update from one of our previous guests. Excuse me. One of our previous guests, Jay Walton of the Bass Juice. He reached out to me earlier to let me know that whenever he is at rest and short walks, he is off of his oxygen. So he is improving. He is doing well. Big shout out to Jay, and really thankful for everything that's going on in his life in terms of his healing and everything. So really excited about that.
Yeah, that's great news, and hopefully that keeps progressing so he can get off of it altogether.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the housekeeping that I've got for this episode. You got anything, man?
No, I'm good to go, man. Let's roll with it.
Awesome. Well, let's have a word from sponsors, and then we will jump right into getting our guests introduced for this week.
A huge selection and crazy fast shipping is already enough to turn heads as an online tackle shop, but Omnia Fishing sets themselves apart with their ambassador program. With Omnia, you can send in fishing reports for your local lakes that recommend baits, structure, tactics, and gear. And when another angler takes your advice and purchases something from your report, you get credit for it to spend at Omnia. The best part means that with Omnia Fishing, you can shop by lake and purchase baits and gear that are proven to work where you're fishing. To get started, go to omniafishing.com and use promo code FNF15 to save 15% on your first order.
All right, man. So I will be honest. I'm going to be leaning on you a little bit more than normal this time because you follow the tournament side of things a lot more than I do. But this episode is one that I have a lot of curiosity about because we're going to be talking um, with I guess he serves as both assistant head coach of or assistant coach of the bass fishing team, and then the head coach of the kayak bass fishing team of Carson-Newman University. If you follow kayak fishing at all, you know Carson-Newman University because they have a couple of major hammers. But yeah, I have a lot of curiosity on this one, man.
Yeah, I'm good with, I'm excited about it. And hopefully, you know, I don't know. I like to find out more about it too, and find out how this, uh, smaller school pulls some of the best bass fishermen in the college ranks, boat side and kayak side. So I'm excited to hear about it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and find out and get Jacob Frazier in here. Jacob, man, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me out.
Absolutely. So to get us started, man, go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us who Jacob Frazier is.
So, my name obviously is Jacob Frazier. Originally from a small town in southeastern Kentucky. I came here back in 2018 on a fishing scholarship to Carson-Newman University and just never left. I graduated last December with a bachelor's degree in business administration with a marketing emphasis. Now I'm finishing up my master's degree, getting a master's of business administration. And like you all said, I am assistant coaching on our bass boat side, and I'm the head coach of our kayaking side.
Awesome. So I want to dive in to that a little bit. So as someone who knows next to nothing about college bass fishing, um, so kind of let our listeners know if we might have somebody on the saltwater side or something like that that didn't even know that there was a college fishing team or anything like that. Let us know like what's the season look like, where are you fishing, and what kind of tournaments are y'all fishing?
Okay, so I guess you may do both. You may do the boat side and the kayak side.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be
Okay,
You
good.
guys help.
okay. We'll start with my main side, the kayak side. It's a lot smaller, a lot easier to keep up with. So we just got done fishing the national championship on Lake Hartwell. We were lucky enough we got the win in it. And, won team of the year, so we brought home two brand new Hobie kayaks. Um, but so our season, they haven't released the schedule yet. But last year we started off at Watts Bar Lake here in Tennessee, and their tournaments are structured. It's the angler part of it is very similar to how all other kayaks are. It's all in inches. Your five biggest fish, they got to be in 12 inches in length minimum, and that's so cool about kayak fishing is, it doesn't have to be lake minimum to keep it. Most lakes around here at least it's 15 inches on largemouth. So you can go catch a 12 incher and you can submit it because you're not keeping that fish. Um, so we're the same on that, except for with the team aspect. And they take your top five biggest fish from every day out of all your anglers you have there, and that's how they award the team aspect of it. So yeah, we started on Watts Bar. We went to Lake Chattooga in North Carolina. Then we went to Gunnersville, and then we ended up on Hartwell. This coming season, they're wanting to expand it. I think we're going to have 5 tournaments this year and the championship. I could be wrong. It may be 4 in the championship. Um, but boat side it's a lot. We have a head coach, and we actually have a GA, which is a graduate assistant. We will travel starting in January. We will go to Florida for 2 weeks, and we'll go back to Florida again in February, fishing the Harris Chain and Lake Toho. Then March, I can't really keep up with it. I should have brought my calendar with me, but I know we go from Florida. We go to the James River, the Red River. We actually got a Bassmaster College event on our home lake here at Cherokee. Yeah, we'll travel. We'll go out to Missouri again. Typically, by the end of the year, we will have gone from Florida to New York.
Yeah. So you're fishing a lot of the lakes that the elites are fishing, and just and the kayak side too. I think really everybody's just working around each other, and sometimes you're going to end up there the same times. I know a couple of the kayak tournaments we were at the same place as I think they were mostly local ones, but I want to say that there's a big, I won't ever remember the name of it, but there's a huge Texas bass trail that was on Toledo Bend the same time as the Hobie down there. Bass Champs, that's what it was. Yeah. And that deal pulls like, I don't know, it was a ton of boats. So you had 200 Hobie kayak anglers for the BOS on there. Then you had Bass Champs on there the same weekend. And Toledo Bend is huge. It can handle it, but you pretty much have all those things working around each other and in conjunction. So that's pretty cool that you guys are doing basically. And I think that's one of the draws to, getting these college guys in there is they are actually preparing them, a lot of them to move to the next level that want to pursue that. It's a big time and money commitment on that. But, some of those guys that are dominating the elites and MLF are, came through the college ranks. So that's pretty cool that you're doing the same thing and on the same lakes as the pro guys. So,
yeah, we really try to get our guys. You got some people who they don't want to fish for a living. And I totally understand that. Some of them just, they love fishing so much, they just want to work in the industry. And as coaches, that's really what we try to do. We always, when they get here as freshmen, we sit them down, we have one-on-one meetings with them, and we talk to them, we ask them, what's your, I guess, your goal in 5 years or whatever? Like, what do you want to do when you leave here? If they say professional, then, we always push them. Like, you fishing a lot, you making sure all your equipment's in check, you staying prepared with everything. And, if they're not, then say they just want to be in the industry, then we'll reach out to some of our sponsors and see if we can't get them to go, work, say, the Classic Forum or just any type of expo they have that's remotely close, just to get those guys involved in the industry. So when they become seniors, they're not graduating with a lot of debt from school and wondering what they're going to do to start paying those bills pretty soon. They'll be able to graduate and step right into a full-time position somewhere.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. So how many anglers do you have on your teams?
So right now we have, I believe it's 26 on our boat side, and I have 8 on the kayak side, but some of them are crossovers. So I have 5 unique anglers on the kayak side. So we got a total of 31 people here for fishing.
Awesome. So I'm sure that this is a question that Robert has too, but I don't want you to have to give away too many trade secrets or anything, but what does the scouting process look like? Because y'all have to not be a bigger school, one that if it hadn't been for Jackson or Ewing Minor, I would have never heard of Carson-Newman University here in North Carolina. So what's the draw for like these bigger names that and these absolute hammers that you end up with? Like, what's the scouting look like? What does the kind of pitch look like? If you're okay, saying that on the air.
Yeah,
don't give away any trade secrets, but
no, that's no problem at all. So really, we do find a lot of kids, but a lot of kids they find us because a lot of the especially the Bassmaster stuff, their high school tournaments are right after the college events. So we've been, fortunate enough over the years to have some really good finishes. So kids see that, and our head coaches at every event we go to. Now either he travels or I travel. We always have a coach at every event. So kids always come up to us and talk to us. So we made a lot that way. We have social media platforms. Our boat side is CN Anglers on Instagram, and I think it's Carson-Newman University Fishing or something like that on Facebook. And then I have my own social media for the kayak side. So a lot of kids will send you a message and start asking you about that. And then a lot of it is just us getting on, just get on the internet, looking at tournament results, looking and see who's leading in Tennessee, leading in Alabama in points, finding a tournament trail and going with it. And then a lot of them is referrals too. A lot of your own students that we have will go and say like, hey, I know a guy from here who's really good. You need to take a look at him. And then we'll go and look at him and get in contact with him. And a lot of kids like coming here because we are 5 minutes from Cherokee Lake, and we are about 10 to 15 minutes from Douglas Lake, right off campus. We offer, I think right now we have 21 boat storages to put boats on campus. All of those have a security system, power, of course, locking and stuff on the doors. So it's perfectly safe while it's here. Never have to worry about theft. We've never had a single issue. I've been here for 4 years, ever since everything got started, or 5 years now, and we've never had any issues. We excuse people from classes. Our school supports us 110%. So they work really good with the students on missing classes. A lot of the professors, some of it will tell you, they'll push the dates back, and some of them will say, hey, don't even worry about it till you get back. A lot of our stuff is due online. So a lot of times some professors still make you do some of it, but they're fully understanding on that aspect. And big thing that what draws students to us is we have a fully funded travel budget. So when you come here and you want to go to an event, you fill your truck up and your boat up the morning before we leave, and then we roll out. And once we roll out, you don't pay for anything. We pay for all your fuel, all your food. We pay for your housing, your fishing license, your entry fees. We cover everything. And then say you go down there and you win, we don't ask for the money back. You get to keep what you've earned. Then once you roll back in on campus, we fill your truck and boat back up. So you're not out anything. We do not buy tackle, only because everybody has their own stuff that they use. So we don't provide tackle. And besides that, we cover everything. So that's something really appealing. Yeah, we're a private Christian school. So we are a little bit more expensive than others, but when you look at, we pay for everything, and we're one of the very few schools in the country that does. It kind of balances everything out if you factor in you fish 5 or 6 tournaments a year.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's a big weight off of, your college guys. Everybody knows when you're in college, you're trying to scrape and get by and do what you got to do. But, if you go somewhere, go to Carson-Newman and all your travel is taken care of. And, sounds like you have nice facilities for storage on your boats. And, I mean, that's pretty good deal. No wonder you're drawing some great anglers in there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're very fortunate to have the school. Like I said, the school backs us 100%. We actually just now, that's why I had to pause. We just built another 2-bay boat barn, and this summer we're building another 3-bay. Possibly we get the funds where we need it, we'll have another 3-bay put up this summer or so. So before long, we'll have pushing 30 spots on campus to store your boats. The students can bring their own boats when they come here.
That's awesome. All right, so you mentioned that y'all are a Christian university, so let's dive into the faith side of things too. So we'll kind of dive into the faith side of the university, and then what I want to do is shift gears and kind of focus on Jacob a little bit. We've kind of focused on Carson-Newman for a little bit, so let's focus on Jacob after that. So kind of let us know like what. So when Jackson was on the show a little while ago, he talked about one of the great things was, he had this time given by the university to spend time with God and to to study the Word and everything. So kind of walk us through, or not necessarily walk us through, but kind of touch on the faith aspect of the bass fishing team, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so we don't force religion down anybody's neck, or by no means. We always pray before we eat, we pray before meeting, we pray before we leave, and we're always open. So if guys want to come and talk to us, we will. We'll admit it. Obviously, we're not perfect Christians. We mess up just like everybody else does. But a lot of the faith stuff is it's students taking it in their own hands. Like Jackson is a great example of that. He wants his relationship with the Lord to grow and prosper, so he would take it in his own hands. To read his Bible every day, pray every day, and seek God. We do have the school. We have what we call chapels that you go to. They're on Tuesdays and sometimes on Thursdays, which is basically a church service. Lasts about an hour. You have you have worship stuff, then you have somebody come up and do a small sermon. And every student is required to have, I believe it's 70 by the time you graduate. So it's 10 a semester. Then you get your last semester, you don't. They let you off because of just how busy you kind of get right before graduation. And then every student is required to take a New Testament and an Old Testament class here on campus.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So let's dive into your faith story, man. So what is it that you believe in? How did you come to believe that?
Oh man, I don't know. Church has just always been a part of my life. It seems like growing up, back home, we lived not too far from a church, and it's just always been something that's been a part of my life. I feel like I grew up in a church and stuff. And I know you hear a lot of people growing up in a church, and sometimes they're still not saved. But I feel like, I don't know. It's God's always been a part of my life. I feel like I can't ever remember a time where I was like searching like where He is. Like He's always been there for me. That's it. We have changed churches a lot, but I don't know. He's just always been there with me through it all. I don't know. I never have this like defined moment. I feel like a lot of people have. It's just he's always been there. It's all I've ever known. It seems like.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. So, Robert, I told you I was going to lean heavily on you, and then I kind of took over. So
That's okay.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask any questions or anything like that kind of steer the conversation a little bit and get some of the answers that you might be itching for.
Yeah, well, first off, I would say, go into a little bit about the differences in your coaching style and what you do as far as the boat side versus the kayak side. Because that's one thing I think a lot of people would be interested in, because you do have a lot of crossovers from boaters that are now getting into the kayak side. That's how I got. I had a bass boat and was duck hunting out of a kayak and decided to take it fishing one day, and then ended up selling the boat because I'd rather fish out of the kayak. I never thought that I would do that, but I think you're getting a lot of people. So tell us a little bit about how you coach a little bit differently, boats versus kayaks.
Yeah. So, and my story is a lot like yours, and I still have, I got a 21-foot Triton bass boat that I keep down here. But I'm starting to get more and more in a kayak. Obviously, I feel like it's hard for me to be the coach of that team if I don't do it myself. So I think I've decided I'm going to fish a lot of the BOS events next season and see where that takes me to grow. But man, when you get to this level of fishing, obviously we're just like every other college for every other sport. We do recruit kids to come here. So it's not, you can't just apply and us accept you. It's just like football and baseball and every other sport. So a lot of times when you get kids to this level, there's not much that we can teach them. We can't teach them like fishing wise. They already know just as much, if not more, than we know. There might be some stuff that we can kind of coach them along with, but for the most part, it's mentally is where we come in at, keeping their heads in it. Positive mental attitudes, what Gerald Swindle's big thing is. That's where we come in, is in coaching them kind of like a life coach somewhat. Kind of getting them pointed in the right path, making sure they don't go down the wrong path and potentially mess up a lot of their life. We're there to, always be there for them and push them to become the best person that they possibly can. And really the big thing is teaching them how to not spin out on the water. A lot of times, people have a great practice and they go out there, and if they don't bite within the first 15 minutes, they're like, oh, well, it's over. They've left. So our thing is try to teach them, you caught those fish at 12 o'clock during the day. They might not bite at 8 o'clock. Just teaching them to keep their head in it and grind it out. Kayak side is something totally new to me. I've been in a bass boat. I guess I got started around my 7th grade year. But kayak, I had never been in a kayak until I was already hired for this position. I had been a part of the program for so long, and the coach came to me and was like, hey, what do you think about coaching? I was like, yeah, I'd love to. I said, I wouldn't mind to travel and help the guys. He's like, no, I'm talking about kayak. So you'd be my assistant, but I need somebody to head coach our kayak team. And I kind of looked at him and was like, I've never been in a kayak in my life, right? And he's like, yeah, I fully understand. I was like, okay. I really love the school, love the area, and I want to bring as many people in here as I can to show them and hopefully give them experience that I have. I fell in love with this place, and I don't know if I'll ever leave. But yeah, so we do have inter-squad events on both sides. That's kind of our practice. We're not making them get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and, I don't know, lunges and all kinds of stuff to see if you can cast further or flip and stuff in the cups. We don't do any of that. We feel like at this level, if there's something you lack, you're probably out there working on it yourself.
Right.
And like, I'm not making my kayak guys wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting on the elliptical and getting their legs stronger so they can be the first one pedaling out in the morning to beat everybody at their spot. But we do have inter-squad tournaments, just to keep them on the water. It's just like every other sport. You're not going to get any better by watching it and reading about it. You have to get out there and do it. So if we're not traveling, if I'm not on the road, or if we're not fishing tournament, we have our inter-squad every week. Have a meeting and stuff, and we talk about stuff. And sometimes people come to you. It's mainly like their equipment that they need help with. It's never like I don't know. It's never anything super bad. It's always like, hey, my graph's kind of acting up. Can you help me? So we come in on that aspect and fix and make sure everything is functioned properly. So when we go on the road, they don't have any issues.
Gotcha.
So are most of the kids who are coming in, do they have already have relationships with sponsors and everything, or is that something that you're teaching everybody how to build those relationships and everything also?
A little bit of both. Like for example, Jackson coming in. Jackson already had a ton of sponsors.
Right.
I don't think Ewing really had that many coming in, but here in the past 2 years, he's been arguably one of the biggest names in kayak fishing. I think after the TOC, his total's up to probably over 60 grand in the past 2 years out of a kayak. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we do help them if there's, if they want stuff. We'll sit down with them, especially because with our sponsors, they always let us get our students involved and work in the Bassmaster Classics. And we work the East Tennessee Fishing Expo, the Pittman Creek Show. We do stuff like that. So if we have people who's really want sponsorship, we'll have them come in and sit down, and we'll help them get a resume and stuff set up, a very professional looking resume that they can take out and show to these people. And me and Hunter both, we have our own connections through different people and different sides of things. So if they're wanting their own sponsorship, we can kind of help put them out there in the industry and help. Hunter's a lot better at it than I am. He's fishing on 9 opens, so he's got his contact book's a lot larger than mine. But yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to ask about, and you may have some insight on this, but there may be some other either collegiate anglers listening or possibly some program directors. How hard was that to start the kayak side, the kayak team, when you guys had the boats already? Was that a pretty seamless transition? Was that hard to start that? And did you just grab a couple of the boat guys that kayak fish too? Did you go out and seek some just kayak guys? Kind of how did that take place, and how hard was that to add that kayak side?
Yeah, so when it all first started, I guess this was the inaugural season of it all.
Right.
You had we didn't have anybody who had, I guess we didn't bring nobody in specifically for kayak. We brought Jackson in. He was a fantastic fisherman. Just so happened he was really good in the kayak. And we had heard through the grapevine that there may have been maybe a kayak series starting. So for the first 2 events, we kind of took, Ewing and Jackson. We had another guy who graduated the same year I did. His name was Josh Rouse. He had a kayak. And then one of the other guys, I believe AJ with Hobie, let him borrow one of his kayaks. Then the second event, Jamie down at the Dugout Bait and Tackle let a couple people borrow kayaks, and we sent a few more. But when I got hired on, I tried to recruit a full class of freshmen to come in to take over, because we don't really want, besides the people who already have, we don't want anybody else switching back and forth.
Gotcha.
We're a separate department. Everything, our budgets and stuff are completely different. So if they're going back and forth, then it's like, well, I owe you this much because he's fishing the tournament on your side, and he's like, well, I owe you this much because, and it's just something that we don't really want to get into. So now we have 4 or 5. We have 4 freshmen. We did have one of the guys on the boat team who actually, it ain't like he fully quit, but he's a senior, and he's sold his boat and bought a brand new PA. I think it's a 14 360, maybe a 12 360. And he basically said, I don't want to boat fish anymore. He said, I don't want to be a co-angler. I just want to kayak fish.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm more than happy to have him. Come on.
Yeah, it is. I think a lot of people, once they try it, they don't realize how different that it is. And I mean, it's just, you're still bass fishing. That part of it's the same, but I don't know. It's just something about being on the water. To me, it's night and day difference when you're on the water like that versus standing up. And there are sometimes I do miss standing up just to casting angles and boat position and stuff like that. But what else was I going to ask? Yeah, so you guys deal with AJ some, and then was Steve Owens, you guys, the tournament director for? I thought so. Yeah, so he was on what, Cam, maybe like 6 weeks ago, something like that.
Something like that.
We had Steve on, and a great guy, great tournament director, and and I don't know if you know this or not, but do you have any feeling on how big of a jump next year? Like, how many more? Have you heard through the grapevine how many more colleges are going to be fielding a few guys in the kayak side?
Yeah, I have heard. I know of, I think 3 more schools who are looking to get in, which isn't a crazy step, but like these events are obviously they're in the spring semester of our school year, so a lot of other schools they haven't had time to recruit yet, so they may have just now saw it last semester and be like, okay, that's something that we would love to expand on. So then they're going to recruit, this whole semester to hopefully in the fall get some more. I know of 3 or 4, and a couple of the schools who are already doing it are looking at expanding and sending more and more and more people. I know Auburn is sponsored by Native, and I have heard that they're going to start looking at sending a lot more people to a lot more events.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be the case just with the way the kayak, the Hobie BOS has exploded this year, and a lot of them were selling out. All of them were selling out until you got to the end of the year, pretty much. But I figured that once that collegiate side gets some traction, that it's going to see, it still may be 2 or 3 years down the road, but it's going to explode as well. Just because I think the cost of entry is going to meet up a whole lot better for high school students that want to get into that college level. And, that's another thing that I would like to see happen is, at these Hobie collegiate events, even having a 2-tier system where you have all the college guys, but then you may have, a high school side of it too, which, there's a lot of probably logistics and legalities as far as having minors out there. You would have to have some kind of guardian or something with them. I don't know how that would work, but I would love to see if somebody could figure out how to do the collegiate side and then also have a high school division as kind of a feeder system into that, kind of the same way the high school boat side does, for the collegiate boat side.
Yeah, I had. It's funny you mentioned that. I was on the phone with Mr. Dwayne Wally earlier over Attorney X, and was talking to him about how me and the coach at Campbellsville have kind of been talking back and forth about wanting to start a high school kayak fishing thing. Not because, it would help us tremendously recruiting wise, because it's hard to convince a kid who's fished an $80,000 bass boat his whole life to come fish at my college out of a plastic boat. Yeah. It's a very, very hard sell to do. So, we would love to have a feeder program, but I just think it's a way to get a lot more kids involved. You don't have to go out there and buy let's just say even a $20,000 bass boat. You can go out there and buy a $1,000 or less kayak off of somebody, buy you some rods, couple tackle boxes full of stuff, and you can go out there and you can compete. It's just introducing more kids to the outdoors, getting them on the water. And if you all know just as much as I do, if you get into fishing, you don't have money to worry about getting hooked on drugs or alcohol or anything else. You have nothing. You have enough money to buy your fuel to get to the lake, pay a launch fee, fish a tournament, and then that's it. Hopefully you do good, or you're eating ramen noodle and bologna sandwiches next week.
That's right. Yep. You got it. You hit the nail on the head with that one.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just a question I'm sure that you've had to or somebody has whenever they pitch the kayak fishing team to the athletics director and everything. So you were talking about wishing that there was a high school league to kind of feed the college side. In the kayak, for the kayak team, is there something that you feel that that the college kayak team is feeding, or what's the path for these students once they graduate? Are they what are they aiming towards?
Yeah, that's something that it's kind of new. So, I guess half of my team was originally, fishing out of a boat, and the other half are just coming in fishing out of a kayak. And a couple of those had fished out of a boat and stuff before in high school a little bit. It's really, I leave it all the way up to them. Whatever they tell me they want to do, I will help them 110%. I will do whatever I can to push them and stuff. But I know, like your Jackson, your Ewings, they really want to continue to do this. I'm sure when they get done with school, they're probably going to find a job that will allow them to take off basically half the year, and they're going to fish probably every single BOS event they can every year. Maybe fish some KBF stuff. I don't know if they do. I know Ewing fishes a lot of Tennessee Bass Nation stuff. So I could see them, I know Ewing's made $60,000 in 2 years. I could see him making, around that in 1 year if he didn't have to go, if he didn't have to go to school and he had all the time in the world.
Right.
So I could see a lot of guys pushing to try to make it professionally fishing, in the kayak world.
Yeah, I think that's going to come to fruition in the next few years. There's already some people that are making a good run at that, and by the time you combine your sponsor income and the different revenue streams they have coming in on top of the tournament winnings, there's a few people that are making a good run at that right now, and I think that it's only going to keep getting better with bigger payouts, and as this keeps growing, because it's still tiny, I think, compared to what its potential is and what it's going to be. So, I can't, every day I wish I was younger than what I am, because I want to see this. I want to see people, I want to see a circuit with the top 50 people on it, and, see them go head to head and, figure out the logistics of getting a camera and feeds on all these things. Because if you think, turning on MLF or the elites and you're sitting there and you're watching that, and I love to watch it. But if you think that's exciting, man, you ought to see some of the stuff that happens in these kayaks, and just to be, go back and forth between a couple of guys that are in the lead. And I think just with the increased bandwidth of cell phones, and somebody's going to figure out how to get cameras. You got the KFL that's semi doing that, but still the technology is not where it needs to be to get a quality signal for a lot of these guys. But as that continues to develop, I think that's when that technology gets here, that's when you're really going to see it explode, when you can put that out there live on a feed so people can take that in, and then you get that revenue stream from sponsors wanting to be a part of that.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree, and I feel like it's like everything. It's just going to take time. I remember, I guess I started competitively fishing in my 7th grade year. I fished a Bassmaster high school event here on Douglas Lake, and there was about 60 boats in it. Now, I don't remember if it was my junior or my senior year. So, 6 years later, I fished a tournament on Lake Chickamauga. It was a Bassmaster event. It was right before they put the cap on it. There was over 450 some boats that had registered for that event. Yeah. Not all of them showed up, thank God, but there was.
There's still a lot.
And just to watch it grow right there before my eyes, and then knowing how fast those events sell out nowadays. Like for our college events, if you're not sitting there with a computer as soon as you can, you're not getting in. You're going to get put on a wait list, and hopefully that somebody doesn't make it and you get the phone call at the last second to come make it. And I think kayak fishing is going to be the same way. I don't know if it grows as fast, but I think it's 110% going to grow. It's just the money is there, the sponsors are there, and the cool thing is about everybody in there now is it hasn't been. I don't feel like it has been around for so long. So you got all these sponsors flooding the industry, and they don't know where to put the cap. In the bass boat side of things, they may have a couple pros and stuff, and they know as much as they're going to spend, so they're not going to be willing to give a high school or a college angler much. Maybe a small discount, or if that. But in the kayak world, there's not much. So the I guess the ceiling is, it's super high right now. It's untapped. So that's something that I'm excited to see all that, and then see the growth. I don't see why other colleges haven't already jumped on board. I guess it's just new to them, and they just kind of want to see it out. I've heard of a couple of schools who were going to do it, and they kind of backed out because they just wanted to make sure that it was going to last. And I 100% think it's going to last. I don't see how it doesn't. It's, my travel costs are so much smaller than our boat side's travel cost. The kids are still getting to fish, the same amount of tournaments as they would out of a bass boat. And, we've been going to some really, really good lakes too. So we'll see. I'm really excited to see see how it's going to grow here in the future.
Yeah, I am as well. So a little bit back to you and not the team aspect. You mentioned that you are going to make a run at doing some of these Hobie BOSs next year. So does the schedule match up pretty good? I guess that those don't overlap, or do you have some overlap in some of those?
I have some. I'm not going to be able to fish all on 9. I believe there's 9 of them. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know that I can at least fish, I believe, the first 3. It's kind of going to suck because I believe it's Santee is on the tournament that's at Cherokee. So the one right here at our home campus that I'm sure Bassmaster will bring the meeting right on campus, I will probably be down there in South Carolina on Santee. But yeah, I think I can definitely fish those. Don't know if I'll get to fish the Kentucky Lake one. I'll definitely try to make the Cayuga just because I feel like that's just going to be a blast. I've never been there. I fished Saginaw Bay once. Besides that, I've never fished north of Kentucky. So I really want to go to there. And I have been whitewater rafting on the New River in West Virginia, but I've never never fished it. I heard it is phenomenal. And honestly, I'm kind of scared to death. I've saw some really big rapids that I was kind of scared going down in a giant raft full of 10 or 12 people. Hopefully I don't find those in a Hobie kayak when I go there. But
I'm sure
I'm super.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll do a good job of outlining those areas. I know that was one thing I was pretty impressed with. There was a lot of people that put a lot of posts out about the Susquehanna and, what to watch out here, and here. And that really helped me kind of be a little bit more confident on where I'm putting in and taking out and getting from A to B without exactly what you said, going down something that that I couldn't recover from. So I'm sure that there'll be some people to put out some information like that to help keep people safe. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. And there's a few of those that are within 3 or 4 hour drive from me. So I'll probably try to hit a few of those as well. I'm going to concentrate a lot more on our local stuff next year, hopefully, and then reach out and maybe hit 2 or 3 early. And then if I do better than I did this year, I may add 1 or 2 just to see. But
my main goal is really just to try to make that TLC. And I know it's been first. It's your 3 best in points. So I'm probably going to fish the first 3, see how it is, and maybe fish 4 or 5 and go from there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And that's what you mentioned earlier about sitting there when the clock strikes 12 o'clock. You better be sitting there on those or you won't get in because they're going to sell out fast, the same as they did this past year. So definitely be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Something completely new to me. I'd just been kind of tossing the idea around. And then our controller at the school, I'm really good friends with our controller. He looked at me and asked me, he's like, so you really want to do it? And I was like, I'm kind of thinking about it. He's like, well, if you do it, I'll do it with you. And I was like, all right, cool. If I have somebody to travel with me, split the cost with me, I'll give it a run. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that makes it fun too.
Yeah, it is. We're pretty good friends. He's a little bit older than I am, but we're fairly close in age, share a lot of the similar stuff. He fished when he was here. He was one of the founding fathers of the program. Big outdoorsman, loves to hunt and stuff, and so do I. So we get along really, really well.
Awesome. Well, Jacob, there are a couple questions that we ask every guest that comes on, and it is just now hitting me that we did not do this with Alex last week, but I'll have to make sure that we do that next time he comes on. But I always love to ask this question because we get so many different and awesome answers. But what fishing story or memory means the most to you?
Oh man, it'll probably have to be my grandfather. He got me into fishing. I think he had a Zebco 33 in my hand, I think, before I could even walk. My grandparents used to have a houseboat on Norris, and I got a lot of childhood memories of going over to the houseboat, and that's where I really started learning to fish. We bluegill fish, and he loved to crappie fish. So we did that. Unfortunately, we lost him to a heart attack back in 2005. Um, but my dad really stepped in, started taking me a lot. We got into crappie fishing. We uh, bought a bought a used boat as an older model crappie master boat just to kind of get me out there and stuff. So I guess I don't know if I really have a defined memory. It was just, I was so young back then. I was born in 2000, so I was 5 and younger when we did that. So I just remember bits and pieces of it all.
Right.
But I think it would have to be him for getting me introduced to this sport that I really don't think I could live without.
Absolutely, man. Robert, you want to take the next one?
You know what? I'm drawing a blank on these two questions. That's what I was scrolling, trying to find it. I know you sent it to me, but you're going to have to roll with it.
All right. Yeah. So whenever you're out fishing with somebody, man, what are you typically talking about? What's your conversation centered around?
Oh my God, goodness. It is a little here, there, and everywhere. I feel like on the boat, I got some people that we get out there and we joke and goof off a lot, and some people we're pretty serious and in the zone. I feel like it's always typically somewhat fishing related, and there's a lot of times that it's not even close to being fishing related. But typically we're always fishing related. Kind of bouncing ideas off each other. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Yeah, there's a lot of random conversations that are had on my boat a lot of times.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to jump into the "What's Your Favorite" segment. I warned you about this before we started, but we do it with every guest, and we are going to do that right after this.
Savior Outdoors gives me confidence that no matter what happens, what I take on the water is coming back home with me. With retrieval devices for fishing rods, bow fishing bows, action cams, and even one that can be attached to your other gear, they've got your whole arsenal covered. When one of these devices goes in the drink, it releases a float attached to your gear by 60 feet of line so you can get it back, and the pressure-sensitive filter means that you don't have to worry about rain or dips in the water while landing a fish. At SaviorOutdoors.com, that's SAVUR Outdoors.com, you can use promo code FNFP15 to save 15% and try them for yourself.
All right, Robert, you want to get us kicked off?
Yep. So what's your favorite? The first one is, what's your favorite scripture?
We're talking about favorite book or favorite verse?
You can do either. Probably more people will do favorite verse, but if you want to go with book, you can do that as well.
I'm going to go with. I'm just going to go with the book of Proverbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Proverbs.
Awesome. What about a particular story from the Bible? Is there one of those that's your favorite?
I don't know if I really have a favorite story. If I do, I haven't really. I don't know. I guess I don't really have a particular favorite. I
Okay.
guess.
That's cool. Well, what about favorite fish to catch?
Oh man, it's gotta have to be a smallmouth. I love catching a Coosa River spot. I feel like they probably fight a little bit harder, but I think I'm gonna have to go with smallmouth. I have a love-hate relationship with them a lot of times, but I mean, I love those. I love those brown fish, man.
Absolutely. Well, what about your favorite fish to fish for?
Uh, can it still be the same thing? Can it be a
Absolutely.
smallmouth
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah.
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 I love throwing a shallow crankbait and jerkbait, catching smallmouth. It's so fun. I feel like they're gonna rip the rod out of your hand. It doesn't get no better for me.
Yep.
The next one can be the same one too if you want it to.
It's your favorite fish to eat.
Okay, that is, I can't do a smallmouth on that one. I mean, they got to be 18 inches out here a lot of time, and an 18-inch smallmouth is a very old fish. I'm gonna have to go crappie. Crappie is probably my favorite, with walleye coming in as a very, very close second.
Absolutely.
Two good choices.
Absolutely. How do you like your crappie cooked?
So I've never really experimented like really far out there. We always, so for Memorial Day, me, my dad, and my uncle, sometimes my mom and brother, we'd always take a trip to Alabama for the longest time, go down to Weiss Lake, and we would crappie fish. We would either get a guide or we would take our own boat. And every year, Memorial Day, that's what we had. My whole family got together. I have a really large family. We'd always get together at somebody's house and we would fry fish. So we would, I think we got our mixer from Bass Pro, and you put your crappie fillets on top. And we always use Zatarain's fish fry and put Zatarain's in the bottom and shook it up and then put it in basically a deep fryer out back. And then when they floated up, you just took them off and you just kept it going. That's probably my favorite way to eat them.
Awesome. Well, now that we are all hungry, what is your favorite fishing snack?
Oh, I don't eat a ton. If I'm like fun fishing, I will. But if I'm tournament fishing, I don't hardly ever eat. But I'm gonna have to go with it's so close. I got a top three, I guess. I got your pack of nabs, your crackers, that fruit snacks, or some type of Little Debbie. Really big oatmeal cream pie fan. Or a chocolate gel. Love a chocolate gel with that strawberry on the inside.
Yep.
Okay.
Little Debbie for the win. Love it.
Absolutely.
Love some Little Debbie's.
Yep. All right. So go ahead.
I want to break down this number 2 real quick because this is a polarizing topic for anybody who's a fruit snacks fan. What brand of fruit snacks are you eating?
I'm eating Welch's.
Welch's. Okay.
Yes.
I'm a Mott's man myself.
Mott's man. I mainly buy mine at the dollar store, and that's really what I find. I walk in, see the big box, I'm like, that's the one. That and Slim Jims. Grab them both, going to the lake.
All of my new coworkers are fanatics over the Welch's, so we have big boxes of Welch's fruit snacks all the time. But for me, it has less to do with the taste, because I mean, fruit snacks are going to taste like fruit snacks, but
yeah,
Mott's
every
just
one
has
of them
the
tastes
best
the same.
texture to me. So
yeah, and it's crazy because like you're gonna think I'm really weird, but I don't like fruit. I haven't had any fruit that I like. I can eat a little bit of watermelon and I can eat a couple grapes, but I love fruit snacks. I don't. It's probably just the sugar, and it's probably why I'm a little bit larger than most people. But yeah.
All right. So favorite body of water to fish?
Wow. I'm a little biased. I love Cherokee Lake. It's kind of when I really got big into bass fishing. This is where I spent the most of my time. It's probably definitely not the best lake, but I love it. I think it has its moments. It's probably between here and when we went to Saginaw Bay. I think you could have threw anything you wanted to in the water and you was going to catch them. And bull shows in Arkansas, that one is fantastic too.
Awesome.
But I guess I'm gonna have to go Cherokee at number 1 on that one.
Absolutely. All right. So you might have hinted at it earlier, but what is your favorite lure to throw?
Man, I got list. I'm gonna have to go favorite being a shallow crankbait. Can I go that broad, or does it have to be like a DT6?
No, shallow crankbait's
Shallow
good.
crank is awesome. Are you?
Yeah.
Do you prefer a round bill or a square bill?
I'm a round bill. Typically, I'll go to the two main baits. I throw a DT6 or I throw a rock crawler, a Spro rock crawler. I really don't have any in between. Every now and then I'll throw a Little John or a Little John and D. But typically it's a DT6 or DT8. It's a DT family or a rock crawler. And I love grinding the bill.
This is how you know that we're from different parts of the country, because you just called a DT6 a shallow diving crankbait.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that's a medium.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What's a rock crawler then? Is that still medium category, or are we getting in a deeper category there?
Yeah, rock crawler. A rock crawler will pretty much that'll dig a trench in most of our lakes.
Wow, that's insane.
So the last of it is, what's your favorite time of year to fish?
Oh, it's got to be the spring, hands down. Ooh, I really love the winter too. It's cold. Nobody wants to be out there. A lot of times I don't want to be out there, but there I am, and I have had the best days of my life. I've been lucky and blessed to catch 20 pounds on Cherokee twice, which everywhere else in the country is probably not much, but for Cherokee, that's a really, really good bag. And both of them have been in the wintertime, probably the coldest days that I ever remember fishing, wind howling, and I was the only boat on the lake both times. I never saw another soul. So I'm probably gonna go winter, because I feel like spring it's just good everywhere. Winter, I feel like it's like a special breed of people really like it.
Yeah, that's the sleeper season. People are hunting or duck hunting or deer hunting, and then you got some guys out there still cranking and throwing some spoons and different stuff like that.
I love it whenever football season starts, because I can go on a Sunday and Sunday afternoon and no boats are on the water.
Nobody. Yeah. Love throwing a big swim bait this time of year, or well, not this time of year, but a little bit later too, like your big glide baits and stuff like that. Going out there knowing that I'm not going to get many bites, probably really fishing for 2 to 3 bites a day, but the ones I get are going to be the big ones.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly fine with that. I love going out there and doing that, especially around timber.
Awesome. Well, we're going to start wrapping things up, man. If you will, let us know, what do you have coming up for you? What's coming down the pipe for you and for Carson-Newman?
So coming down the pipe for us is, I don't know if you all have seen this, but Jackson Orr is actually having a benefit tournament for a charity. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure on what charity it is, but it's only like $20 to register. Tournament is Fridays. I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or might be just Friday, Saturday. You can find that by getting on his Facebook page. So that's coming up for him. As for colleges, as for our kayak team, I'm actually hosting a tournament on Del Hollow on December the 10th. We call it Battle at the Hollow. Last year it was just us versus Campbellsville University. Hoping to get a couple more teams out this year to it, and then we're kind of done for a while. Our boat side, we have our last fall trail event this weekend that we host. Then we have a tournament called the Brandon Card in December. We have one on Lake Russell in December, and then we're done until January. We're loading up and headed to Florida. Everybody's going to be freezing cold here in East Tennessee, and we're going to be sitting down there in flip-flops and shorts, enjoying it.
Awesome. So, yeah, about Jackson's tournament. I think it's the top 6 will get to choose the charity that their portion of the winnings goes to. And then so that this episode will air after the tournament, but those winners will get a chance to come on this show to kind of talk about their charities um, and make sure that um, they can get some sort of exposure and everything. Not that this is a huge platform or anything, but it can get the word out there a little bit, maybe get some sort of exposure. But yeah, I if all goes according to plan, I will be able to fish one day of the tournament. So so I'm going to do my best to put up some numbers, but we are currently sitting at 68 anglers. So that's awesome. That was this time last week it was 32. So
That is
we're
awesome.
able to get it up there, get it up there a little bit. But yeah, man, um, I wanted to give you an open floor to shout out any sponsors and supporters. Anybody you want to say thank you to, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I guess obviously first and foremost, I can't thank the good Lord above enough for putting all these opportunities in my life. I don't know if it's what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. I pray about it every day, but I'm so thankful to be here, at least for now. Um, Secondly, thanks to school for everything they do for us. Carson-Newman has been fantastic on both sides, and even as my employer. Um, I was just at a wiffle ball game with all the staff members of the team. So that's really cool that I get the opportunity to do that. Huge thank you to Jamie Koza at the Dugout Bait and Tackle. He bends over backwards for us. I could never thank him enough for all that he does for us and all that he's taught me so far. Um, Big thank you to Dakota Lithium. Um, they've been a huge support to us, getting us powered up really nice this season. Um, Dwayne Wally at Turn X, he's helping me a lot along the way. He's kind of helping answer a lot of my questions, helping me with this tournament I'm about to run. Yeah, both sides I could go for a long time. Big one is visit Jefferson County here in beautiful Jefferson County, Tennessee. We got Douglas Lake, Cherokee Lake. You're not far from Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area. It's Extended Automotive. They always give us a vehicle to take when we travel on these trips, so I'm not eating the miles off my own personal vehicle, which is a great thing to have. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody. I'm sure I am. I know we have a lot of people on our jerseys, but I think that's the big one.
Awesome. And social media, where do we tell listeners where to find you if they want to follow you, want to follow the school? You mentioned that that the school had the bass fishing team for the school has social media. Let us know where we can get up with you.
Yeah, 100%. Just realized I forgot Seaguard Line, which is probably our biggest sponsor. Don't know how I left that one off. But if you want to get up with me, I have Instagram, I have Facebook. You could also search the Carson-Newman's website. You'll find me. I have an email address, stuff on there. My Instagram is Jacob Frazier Fishing. My Facebook is just my name. Our boat team, our Instagram is Seeing Anglers. Our Facebook page is Carson-Newman University Fishing Team, I believe. And then my kayak stuff is, I believe it's Seeing Kayak Anglers. It's sad that I'm saying I believe, but I'm about sure that it's Seeing Kayak Anglers. Our Facebook is Carson-Newman University Kayak Fishing Team.
Awesome. Well, Jacob, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot. But I tell you, man, I really wish really wish there was something like this whenever I was in school. I mean, I don't think it would have kept me in a 4-year university, but
Hey, if you still got eligibility, then if you want to come back, we got scholarships we offer. I can offer you a scholarship. You can come out and travel around and fish with us. Be a great time.
yeah, I don't know that the team I'd really fit in as a 35-year-old on the team.
It'd be fun.
But yeah, brother, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I said, enjoyed it, and wish you all the best, man.
Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
appreciate it. Thanks for having me out, guys. I've had a blast. Anytime y'all have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Be glad to do anything that I can for you all in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Awesome. Sounds good, man.
Whether you're a Ned Rig vet or a finesse fishing noob like me, Jade's Jigs is your source for high-quality finesse jigs that raise the bar by being lead-free. Using a tin bismuth alloy not only makes Jade's Jigs eco-friendly, it also makes the jig lighter so you get the same profile with less weight for the fish to feel. Check out jadesjigs.com, that's JADESJIGS.com, to see their full lineup of jigs, styles, and colors. And since you're a Faith and Fishing listener, you can save 10% on your order by using promo code FNF10 at checkout. Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle in Greensboro, North Carolina offers a wide range of products and services designed to help protect the environment and enhance the time people spend enjoying the outdoors. With an expansive year-round inventory of kayaks, SUPs, bikes, kayak fishing accessories, paddling clothing, biking accessories, and more, Get Outdoors has established itself as one of the top paddle sports and biking shops in the Southeast. They also offer a wide range of kayak safety and technique courses to get you comfortable in your new boat. They'll even get it rigged up for you. Stop by the shop in Greensboro, North Carolina, or check them out at shopgetoutdoors.com.
Another huge thank you to Jacob for coming on the show, sharing his story with us, and getting us educated on Carson-Newman University's bass fishing teams. If you want to learn more about Carson-Newman and about Jacob, I'll leave his links in the show notes. Robert, man, your thoughts on this one, brother?
Yeah, man, I thought that was an awesome show. Learned a lot about, Carson-Newman and kind of their programs, boat side and kayak side. It's pretty cool to hear, this first year getting the kayak side started. They're able to pull, obviously, two of the top anglers, kayak side. We're already fishing there in the boats. And then, I'm sure that helped them decide to go ahead and get that kayak side started. And, pretty cool to hear Jacob talk about, making the switch over, from being mainly all boats to getting ready to fish some of the Hobie BOSs next year. So, cool show, and great to learn about Carson-Newman and their fishing programs.
Absolutely, man. Well, y'all, that's going to do it for this one. It's been a fun one, been a little bit on the long side, but not too bad. Yeah, so that's going to do it for this one. Y'all take care, and God bless.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Faith and Fishing podcast. Faith and Fishing is produced and hosted by me, Cam Steele, and is sponsored by Jade's Jigs, Get Outdoors Pedal and Paddle, Savior Outdoors, Atollas, and Mr. B Lure Company. Be sure to give us a rating and a review, and to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. That's going to do it for this episode. Y'all take care, and God bless.